we need badly a movement of the kind hinted at in this beautiful movie that you will see, a movement that we're trying to build in very short order before the world's leaders meet in Copenhagen in December of this year, there to draw up a new treaty on climate. At 350.org, we're now in the business of trying, somewhat quixotically, to organize the entire planet to take that number and drive it into people's hearts and minds so that we can reset the psychological bar for those negotiations so that we can move the planet closer to what science demands. On October 24th of this year, there will be the biggest day of global environmental grassroots action that we've ever seen. There will be thousands of simultaneous events all over the earth. There will be climbers high in the Himalayas with banners. There will be 350 scuba divers underwater on the Great Barrier Reef. There'll be teams of people on Easter Island. There'll be 300 bicyclists in one place after another. There will be gatherings large and small on farms, in cities, all across the planet. And crucially, there will be finally the involvement in, I think, a deep and powerful way of faith communities in this work. Thanks to people like John and Mary Evelyn, we've spent the last 20 years understanding the role that faith communities could play in solving the environmental crisis. Now it is time for them to play that role and play it in the deepest way. Yesterday, Mary Evelyn and I sent out an email to thousands of people asking them to join an interfaith call to action on this 350 number. And the early responses have been very good. Our biggest supporters include people like Desmond Tutu, include people like the Dalai Lama, who has called on all people of good heart to take part on October 24th, and people will take part. We already have hundreds of churches that will be ringing their bells 350 times on that day. Synagogues where people will be blowing the shofar 350 times. Ashrams with meditation proceeding for 350 minutes. We talked the other day with a squad of yoga instructors who plan to have huge numbers of people standing on their heads all over the planet, on and on and on. Only this kind of symbolic witness, ironically now at this point, can deal with the problem that we have fallen into. It is no longer possible, though it's very important to do this work, it is no longer possible one light bulb at a time, one household at a time, even one cathedral at a time to solve these problems. We need to rally the earth, the people of the earth, to real and serious action, action to reset the price of carbon, action to put a cap on the amount that we pour into the atmosphere. If we're able to rally faith communities behind this work, it'll be one of the most important components of that day and of this drive. I have been extremely frank with you here about the problem that we face, and I will be frank with you about the solution too. It's not at all clear that this or anything else will succeed. There are plenty of scientists who say we have waited too long to get started, that these series of feedback loops now have enough momentum that no matter what we do, we won't rein them in. But the best science indicates that we still have a chance, a window, albeit a narrow one, and closing rapidly. Very rapidly. And that's what makes this different. I hope this is one of the things you'll reflect on in the course of the year. That's what makes this different from any other problem that human beings have ever come up against. If we don't solve it soon, we will not solve it. Martin Luther King ended every talk he gave quoting from the abolitionist minister Theodore Parker and saying with great confidence, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." He knew that they were going to win in the end. The arc of the physical universe is short, and it bends toward heat. And that's where it's bending now, and if we do not quickly get it under control, if we do not muster not only our scientific and engineering, economic and political resources, but maybe most importantly, our spiritual resources to get it under control, then the next group of people 5 or 10 years down the road will not have the opportunity to do so. This is the furthest thing from an academic question. It is the most urgent question that we've ever faced, and it is the question for our moment, for those of us alive now, to stand up and take the most powerful, deep, symbolic, rooted, witnessing action that we can imagine. To hear the incredible music and liturgy that we've just come through is to be reminded that we possess enormous resources. To see the movie that you're about to see is to be reminded how those resources can be brought into play in the real world. All I am saying is that we need all to do this, and we need to figure out how to do it now. Now. This is the year to be having this series, because in many ways this is the year that we'll find out whether or not we're up to this challenge. It's not clear. We can help provide that answer. Having faith at its deepest level means being willing to work to change what seems like set reality. Being willing to work in the face of what seem like overwhelming odds. I'm incredibly glad that you're here to see this film, and I'm incredibly glad that you're here to do this kind of work in the months ahead as we grapple with this greatest of all problems. Thank you.